Hello. I can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
There we go. You think I've done enough of these over the week? We're live. We've started to have people joining us. I've made you a co-host, so you can now share your screen, but we'll give it a few minutes to see how many people we get join us. And then also I'll set up the recording link so that this is recorded for people who can't join the session as well.
No worries. How's the week been going for you?
Been very good. Because it's a Friday and I'm not sure how busy these sessions are going to be, I'll allow people to talk. So Gail, you've now joined us, so if you unmute, you can talk. Welcome. And then my colleague Sean as well.
Hello.
Hello, Sean. Hello, Gail.
And even if we don't get a lot of people joining us, we're getting lots of people watching the videos that have been put up. So we'll get some engagement there. Hello, Gail.
Hi there, you okay?
We're all very good, thank you, yes.
Excellent.
I think a lot of people are feeling a bit zoomed out on this Friday. But
oh, they are, yeah. It's been a good week, though.
A lot of sessions, a lot more than we were expecting. But yeah, really good, really positive.
Yeah, there's been some like brilliant sort of stuff going on. So yeah, I've been fully addicted. I don't know what I'm going to do next week.
What's your role, Gail, within student unions?
I'm the student engagement coordinator at Walsall College. So that's like a sort of FE. So yeah, sort of smallish union. And in a bit of a situation this year because we've the kind of COVID thing stopped our recruitment for our president. So
oh dear.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Just if there's a new session being put in at 3 o'clock today, which I think will be brilliant, which is it's the company who work with a lot of elected officers doing performance reviews and reviews of the year.
Oh, okay.
And they did over 100 last year. What they've done, they've collated all the results together, so they've got themes. I think that should be really interesting. So I'm just a bit of a plug for that one. It's a new session.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it literally went in overnight. So.
Oh, great! That's good. Thank you.
And we have Dia and George who've joined us. You can chat away as well. As it's 12, if you're happy, Douglas, I'll start recording.
Yes, please.
Yeah, just take me a second to get the recording up.
Hello, dear. Hello, Sam.
Okay, George, we are live. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to listen to what I have to say about the NUS Reach Staff Network. As it says, I'm just going to be quickly or briefly explaining what the Reach Staff Network is, purpose, and what we've got planned for the year, or what would like for us to achieve for the year. And there's going to be a section at the end where I'd like people to come and share their thoughts about how we can support the network. So. There we go. So as I said, purpose of the network is what I'm going to cover, what we want to achieve and how to support the network. So I guess I'll start with kind of like the overall purpose of the network. Just like any other communities of practice that are out there, the purpose of the Reach Staff Network, which is formerly known as the Black Staff Network, is to create a community that allows BAME staff really to promote any leadership best practice. We're there to kind of like provide peer-led support, supporting each other around any issues that might be there around, particularly tackling racism, for example, within the workplace, and also just supporting people as to how they can enable their own career and personal development. So that's kind of like the overall purpose of the Reach Staff Network. And we've been functional in a formal, we've been around for quite a long time, but formally we've had I guess a committee structure which was put in place back in 2017-18. And I, myself and other members across SUs across the country then were part of a bigger committee last year. But where we're at right now is I'm the only standing member again now on the committee because people have left the movement. And I guess that is one of the kind of like challenges with staff networks is to keep that continuity going. But I'm always optimistic and hopeful, and there's a lot of talented BAME staff within the network who've engaged with the Reach Staff Committee and are always there to help, and we just are looking to do more of that. So I guess firstly I'll start off by talking about why the name change. So obviously we used to be called Black Staff Network, and now we're called the Reach Staff Network. This was really, it was driven by the members who gave us a lot of feedback around the term Black might not have been as inclusive as a lot of staff coming into the movement who might not have been familiar with the political terminology of Black and what that meant. Maybe when they saw those communications, thought that didn't include them. So we consulted with our members and asked them, what would be something that still represents who the network is for, but is also inclusive. So, we had a colleague from Nottingham who suggested, Nottingham University Students' Union, who suggested this, because I think at Nottingham they might have something similar in terms of name at the university, in terms of reach. And, obviously, as you can see there, stands for race, ethnicity, and cultural heritage. And this is because we wanted to, I guess, we all know that, ethnic people of ethnicity, we are the global majority, and we didn't want to necessarily exclude a lot of other, we didn't want to exclude any other ethnicities from the network. And, our aim really is to expand that, and that's why we've included cultural heritage in there as well, is to really kind of like encapsulate and include. And again, going back to the purpose, it's about that community sense of it. And we wanted to make sure that the network represents that as much as possible. So this was what we all agreed on, and that's why it's called the Reach Staff Network. So I'll quickly move on to kind of like, okay, what is our main goal for the year? This is something that when I took over as chair last year, was something that I proposed to the network. It's something that is still ongoing. People, we do this outside our own day-to-day working lives, but these are still pretty much our kind of like main objectives. And our main goal is to increase engagement with the network, because once we increase engagement, I think everything else would follow. And they're kind of like different objectives within that are kind of like want to improve our visibility. Firstly, overall is just within the movement, we want to utilize any existing communication channels just to raise awareness. And part of that is working with NUS to support in increasing the amount of comms that go out about the Reach Staff Network. Another part of it is to generate a database of BAME staff that we can continuously update every year. I know there was a project which NUS wanted to start, and I don't know if that is going on anymore, but we want to create a database of where all our BAME staff are within the movement. We want to know, people's expertise, what levels they're at, so that we can draw on those people to support with the growth and the development of the network, supporting the members of the network. We've got some, BAME staff who are in kind of like CEO or senior leadership positions, and all the way up to coordinators as well. We just, it's about understanding, as BAME staff, where we are, and what levels we're at, and also it's about also being able to then communicate more effectively with those people about what we're doing as well. And then also it's about allies and allyship. I believe it's about building and developing more white managers and senior leader allies that can be ambassadors and champions of the network, and also supporting staff within their own organizations to be part of the REACH staff network and part of this community that we're trying to create. And part of this has started with the Rise Leadership Program. If you're not aware of it, that is a very unique program that brings both BAME staff and their white managers or white line managers to a leadership program that looks at how as white managers or white line managers, how they can understand the realities that us as BAME staff go through in order to champion our progression and development as well. So seeking to do more of that again. The other side of it is about providing impact, really. So or showing impact. So we want to research what the experiences are of BAME staff. So we want to research the needs and wants of BAME staff from the network, so we're able to be impactful in what we offer. So that's one side of it. And the other side, which I quickly jumped onto by mistake, was we want to capture stories of lived experiences of BAME staff, because I think this is a really powerful way of showcasing what the experience of BAME staff within the movement, within student unions, and with the aim of driving cultural change in SUs, really showing and how BAME staff are navigating the worlds that they live in terms of the workplace. And hopefully that will provide learnings for other SUs and how they can support or better support their BAME staff within their own SUs. And then the other one is something that we want to do more of. We haven't been really been part of it that much in the last year or so, but we really still want to be part of influencing student unions and NUS race equity and inclusion work. If we want the network to be seen as somewhere where student unions can come and seek not necessarily advice, because I wouldn't say I'm a race. We are race equity or inclusion experts in that respect, but we've got the lived experience of being a BAME staff member. So if we can be in a place where we can influence how student unions and NUS as a whole are working on these race equity and inclusion initiatives or schemes or practices, we want to be very much involved in shaping that work going forward. And then finally, the network, again, in order for us to increase our engagement, we need to provide experiences, and opportunities for learning and development for our members. So, in a COVID, in a pre-COVID world, we used to, meet up, at a host students union. Last year we met up at 3 places. We were at Middlesex, we were at Salford, and we're at Warwick. But now in a post-COVID world, virtual gatherings or talks or Q&As are kind of like the way forward, I believe. And even in the immediate or short term, that's something that we're definitely looking at, how we can deliver inspiring and developmental talks virtually, you know, with a wide ranging topics, you know, as I said, that some, you know, things like tackling racism or leadership, and that could be from, you know, people within the movement or experts from outside the movement. It's about helping our members to learn and develop, and, you know, again, being part of a community that gives you something that you can take away and help with your career and your own personal and professional development. We also want to link much closer with the Rise Leadership Program, in the sense of being able to show that as a pathway towards development, not just for the BAME staff members, but also for their organizations, because I was a recipient of that program, and it was really eye-opening and life-changing for me. And I'm very excited to see that that's a program that NUS are still continuing going forward for next year as well. And yeah, this is about how, as a network, we can link much closer with that. And we will be having kind of like discussions, or the plan is to have discussions to see how we can do that. And then the last one really is more of kind of like an exploration. If we can get to the development stage of it, then that would be great. But in the network, we always get feedback about mentoring. And we have explored also about not just mentoring for staff, but also for officers, and how we can provide something that's beneficial, and maybe could be, you know, BAME staff, you know, staff that have been working in the movement for a long time or for a little bit of time, and how they can support BAME officers as well. And likewise, how if we can create different relationships externally, how BAME staff can also get mentoring from people outside of the network, who can, again, support. It's all about supporting with people's personal and professional development. So that's kind of like overall, like what we aim to do this year. And now, really, it's over to you in terms of like supporting the network. What I didn't want to do was just to come up with my own or feedback that has come from you know, from the past, from the network, about supporting the network in terms of like your own SUs. I thought this would be a good opportunity to listen, and for you all to share your own thoughts and or suggestions as to how the network can be supported by white staff allies, BAME officers, and staff as well. So over to you, really, if there's anyone who wants to share their thoughts about how we can support the network.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, dear.
Hi, Doug. I think this topic is like really interesting to me, like me myself being a BAME officer. I think, and what I understood is the READ staff network, it's like a network of only staff, but not students, but this is really interesting. I just wanted to like comment on it, like not like actually ask a question or anything, but I just wanted to comment on it. And this is like really brilliant. And I'm really looking forward to talk to you more about this later. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you, Dia. Dia is our international student officer at Sheffield Hallam Students Union. Thank you for your comment.
I've got a question for you, Douglas.
Thank you, John.
Here at Coventry, we have a few BAME members of staff,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't have much engagement with national initiatives like this. But I almost don't feel like I want to push it too much, because I don't want to be seen as overly pressuring. So is there anything you can suggest on the balance between sort of highlighting the benefits of these opportunities, but not being seen as pushy as a white ally?
Absolutely. I think one of the things that we spoke about last year as a network was, what can we do, at least just to, again, going back to that visibility And I guess as a white ally, listening to what you're saying about not trying to be too pushy, is how can we just raise awareness of the network and what we do. And I think one of the things is, you know, inductions, for example, for any new or existing members of staff, or if you have any kind of like staff handbooks or any comms that you might have a newsletter that internal comms newsletter, or any way that you communicate to. I think presenting them in that way, I don't feel is necessarily pushy. I think it's more just to say, look, there is a safe space for you as BAME staff that you can go and be part of a community, and you can get support if you are experiencing any issues, and you can also get support around navigating the workplace as a BAME staff member, from, you know, in that perspective, and how you can chart your journey in a world that at the moment, as you can see, it's quite a topical issue. I think that is a way that, you know, thinking off the top of my head, I think that's one thing we talked about last year, about how we can be a bit more present in those initial, if someone is new to the movement, how we can be there, as these are the networks that you can be involved with. And I guess after that is, I think it's about checking in as well with your BAME staff members. You know, I think all people want really is just to see if their leaders are checking in on them, and, you know, and just listening to what they would like in that respect. So I think some of it is about, yes, these are the things that are there for you, but also it's about checking in and saying, is there anything else that we can provide to further support you, or the feedback might just be like, everything you're doing is fine, and, you know, it's the onus is then on them to then take those opportunities, I believe, if they're presented to them and they're easy to find. I hope that answers that question for you, or it gives you some food for thought.
Yes, that's very helpful. And on that note, what is the best way for people to get in touch? Is it through Workplace, or is there another better way of doing it?
Yes, so we've got a Workplace group which people can join, and yeah, communicate through there. That's a good way of doing it. We've got a page on NUS. I don't know how much that is viewed, but I think the best place is Workplace in terms of like getting yourself added to the NUS Read Staff Network. I think that's the best place to be involved and see and get updates of what's happening. We started doing a newsletter this year, going back to that whole database thing. One of the things that we want to do is, we understand that not everyone is going to be on Workplace or would want to be on somewhere like that, in terms of like social media, and, you know, that's why the database for us is quite crucial, in the sense of we can start to put in, or we start doing a newsletter which we send out every quarter really, and that'll be, I believe, is more accessible, and in terms of reaching out to the network so that they know what's going on, what events are coming up, etc., etc. So if it's not the Workplace, they can email me directly, and then we can add them onto the database.
Douglas, thank you. That's been incredibly helpful. I hope that was useful to everyone. Please do, this session has been recorded and will be up on the studentsunions.co.uk website, where people will be able to access it. So please do pass it on to any colleagues. Oh, sorry. We do have someone who's joined late who has asked a question, and they've asked, what are the changes to the network from the previous NUS Black Staff network? Is it just the name change, or has there been other changes this year as well?
The first one is the name change, so that's number one. The other one, which I'm slowly working through, is how we gonna do the Reach Staff Network in a post-COVID world, and I think I alluded to some of that in the sense of, rather than having those 4 or 3 get-togethers that we normally have at a host SU, leveraging technology is the way forward, I believe, and breaking it up so maybe it could be a bit more frequent and less lengthy, I would imagine. So that could be, a Q&A one day, maybe a month later it might be a leader's lunch, half an hour, and so forth and so at the moment I'm working on it quite slow because everything is slow at the moment, trying to get around to dedicating some time to keep progressing the network, but we're also looking for BAME staff to be part of the organization of the network as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Sam, I can see you've got your hand up. Was that your question that was asked, or do you have a question as well?
Yeah, hi guys. I just put my question as well. So it was, what are the barriers in the sector that you've found and or still need to overcome? So, obviously having been part of the networks, knowing where we've gotten to, but what are some of those things that still need to be overcome? And, obviously it's a bit of an awkward question, but I think we need to have some of these open and honest dialogues and know what else needs to be done and what our white ally counterparts and senior managers need to do as well.
That's a great
Absolutely.
And I think one of those is that development of white allies, in particular white line managers and senior leaders within organizations, to really understand that as a sector, student unions, there isn't enough representation. I think we've seen a lot of progress with sabbatical officers and the makeup of sabbatical officers in terms of diversity across the sector, which is very positive and is the right way forward. But we haven't seen the same level of movement in terms of staff. And I remember last year when I went to Manchester for the membership services conference, and it wasn't the first time I've been there, but that was the first time that I actually looked around, and it took me aback in the sense of, you could really see the lack of BAME staff within the movement just in that room on that day. And I even had someone come to me and say, where are all the BAME staff? And I was like, well, this is one of the issues as a sector that we need to definitely overcome. And I know it's something that is not going to happen overnight, but I think those are the conversations that you're alluding to, Sam, that I think we need to be a lot more, we need to confront that aspect about the student union as a sector, and as to recruitment and selection of more BAME staff into the movement. And NUS did the Race Matters report back in 2015, and I would encourage people to go back to read that. If not, I can share the link post this. There's a lot of great stuff in there that people have suggested, and NUS have also created a few documents around recruitment in a way that helps to attract a more diverse, applicant pool. But I think as SUs, there is more that needs to be done at an SU level, and that's down to again the senior leaders of those student unions to really put in and be proactive about it as to how they attract BAME staff into the movement. So that's one, which is absolutely true, is staff representation. And then I think the other one is, I think it's all down to, it's linked to it, because BAME staff do leave the movement. And as I said, like last year, there were 5 of us on the committee. Now it's just me again. on the committee. And I guess it's kind of like understanding, you know, how can we as a network try to encourage more people to be involved. I think that is a barrier. And I think part of it was down to location, maybe, in terms of, you know, some issues last year, you know, couldn't financially justify sending people to some of these network meetings. But now we've seen that, you know, we can not entirely create the same environment as gathering face to face, but virtually we could eliminate a lot of those financial, or if not completely eliminate any financial commitments. It's more people's time, and I'm interested to see if that's it's gonna result in more engagement from unions in general, encouraging their staff to be engaging in the staff network. So those are the two off the top of my head that I think were barriers before, and some of them are still barriers, and some are to be kind of like wait and see if, you know, not doing things face to face is going to result in increased engagement. But I think the biggest one is the former, which is, you know, that building and developing allies, white managers and senior leaders. I think that would be a big step for the network and just for the movement in general, in order to overcome that barrier.
Brilliant, thank you. And yeah, good. You know, I think it's great that the work that has been done by the committee, and it is a shame that you're again just stuck on it on its own. But hopefully, if we can, you know, pick this back up and get more people involved, and yeah, a lot, you know, like you said, the key things that you said at the start about the engagement and getting that information out, I think that's key. So, you know, keep up the good fight, and yeah.
And obviously, you know, as you know, Sam, you know, it is a slow. There's not many BAME staff within the movement, and you know, that's part of the reason is that, and but there's a lot of keen people who are willing to do more, and that's really encouraging, and that's the optimistic side of it. And obviously things have been slow because of, you know, COVID, and, you know, focus has been elsewhere. But now that things are going back to normality a little bit, you know, I'm really keen to start the network to be up and running again, and, you know, hopefully get more people on the committee as well, because, you know, I think having fresh ideas is always a great way of keeping the network growing and developing and evolving.
Douglas, thank you. And please, if you have been inspired by this, please do talk to Douglas if you are interested in joining him on that committee too. Massive thank you for your time, Douglas, and those who've attended the session. I hope you've enjoyed the week so far, and will be joining us for the last few sessions this afternoon. Many thanks. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.